Subtitles added by Novorossiysk.
Probably the largest attack by the armed forces of Ukraine in the entire war. In Russia, after a Ukrainian drone attack in Novorossiysk, fires broke out at key Russian oil facilities which were used for military logistics. In addition, the most important Russian port in the Black Sea caught fire, as well as several Russian military ships. But in this episode, we will discuss not only the consequences of the Ukrainian attack, but also how the Kremlin is responding to them. And now, realizing that the war is reaching a dead end, Vladimir Putin clearly will not get the victory he was counting on. The Kremlin is trying to intimidate Europe and at the same time Russians as well, but primarily, of course, Europeans, so that they try to dissuade Ukraine from attacking Russia. Today, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation, Sergei Lavrov, stated that the West is preparing to attack. He says that the West wants to attack the Russian Federation and wipe out everything related to it, claiming that they want to destroy everything Russian. According to him, it is about preparing an attack by the forces of a united Europe, where the ideology of Nazism is being revived, and the new Hitler, who will lead all of Europe into a big war against Russia, Lavrov, of course, named Zelensky. I'm Alexei Pechi, let's discuss this together. But before we start, I ask you to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and leave a comment below. I would really appreciate it, because it really helps promote the content on YouTube. Also, subscribe to my Telegram channel, Peachy News. The link is in the description of this video.
Subtitled by Novorossiysk.
Subtitles made by Novorossiysk.
In these beautiful shots, you can see the aftermath of the Ukrainian drone attack on Novorossiysk in the Krasnodar region of the Russian Federation. The Russian air defense tried to intercept the drones, but some of them still reached their targets. A fire can be seen in the port of Novorossiysk. And then the mayor of the city, Andrei Kravchenko, first confirmed the drone attack and then also announced a missile threat. Later, the city authorities clarified that a fire also broke out at the oil depot as a result of debris from downed drones falling. Several technical and administrative buildings caught fire, and now remember this moment. Once again, Russians are, being lied to, and they're told that it's just debris from downed drones that cause such destruction. But later, the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reported that after the attack on the night of May 23, fires broke out at key oil facilities in Novorossiysk of the Russian Federation, which were used for military logistics. One of the main targets was the Sheskharis oil terminal in Novorossiysk. Sheskharis is one of the largest oil terminals in Russia on the Black Sea and is part of the Transneft system. The facility is used for transshipment of oil and petroleum products, as well as to supply the needs of the Russian occupation army. A tank farm in the Novorossiysk area was also hit. A fire was also reported there after the attack. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine noted that the oil depot is an important part of the Sheskharis complex and is used for storing and transporting oil and fuel. In addition, in the Black Sea area, Ukrainian forces struck the base area of the Russian Federation's Shadow Fleet ships, and at least the tanker Chrysalis being hit has been confirmed. And according to the Russians, all of this supposedly happened simply because debris from drones that had already been shot down fell. But here I'll make a very important remark. The thing is, the two industrial sites, Grushavaya and Sheskaris oil facilities, are located 12 kilometers apart and are part of the largest transshipment complex in southern Russia, Chernomortransneft. The terminal handles receipt, storage, and export loading. And to those very tankers of the Shadow Fleet, and also Grushavaya Balka. This is the largest oil storage facility in the entire Caucasus, which collects raw materials for export through Novorossiysk and includes more than 60 tanks with a total capacity of about 1.2 million tons. And later in the day, the commander of the unmanned systems forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Robert Madyar Brody, reported on what happened in Novorossiysk. They also struck the Russian Black Sea Fleet frigate Admiral Essen, which is a carrier of Caliber missiles. And in addition, our drones also reached another military ship. According to Madyar, on the night of May 23, that very Admiral Essen and a Project 1239 air cushion missile ship came under attack during a raid by unmanned systems forces on the port of Novorossiysk and the Grushavaya Balka oil depot. Also, as the commander of the unmanned systems forces noted, on that same night, the unmanned systems forces reached Russian targets in the temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine. In particular, they destroyed an Osay air defense system in Donetsk, struck a rear base and a logistics hub of the occupiers in the settlement of Rovenki. They also hit a drone control center in Oleshki in the Kherson region, as well as fuel tankers, special equipment, and armored vehicles in Zaporizhia. And what do you think? How did the Kremlin react to such attacks? That's right. They started trying even harder to scare the wild, unwashed Russians with tales that the damned West wants to destroy Mother Russia. That's why everyone needs to mobilize for the Great Patriotic War. And I'm not kidding or joking right now. Today, the head of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation, Sergei Lavrov, told a story that the West is preparing to attack Russia and wipe out everything Russian. According to him, it's about preparing an attack by the forces of a united Europe where the ideology of revanchism is being revived. And now I will quote Sergei Lavrov verbatim. Right now, under the same flags of Nazism and revanchism, they are creating a pan-European strike group to attack Russia, not only by hybrid methods, but they are also thinking about a physical attack. And at the head of this group is not Adolf Hitler, but Vladimir Zelensky with his Nazi slogans. And now, do you want to hear the funniest and at the same time the scariest detail of this delusional narrative from Sergei Lavrov? Sergei Lavrov told this nonsense in an interview with a propaganda outlet called Children's Newsroom, which is aimed at brainwashing Russian children and youth. So, children and young people are being told that there's a new Third Reich in Europe, and instead of Adolf Hitler, now it's Volodymyr Zelensky, who is rallying a united Europe which will go and destroy everything Russian. And then he, meaning Lavrov, said, quote, "It is they, these globalists, who bear the main responsibility for the fact that the very purpose of the current Ukrainian authorities' existence has become the extermination of everything connected with Russia. The West generously funds and encourages this Nazi policy, insisting that Ukraine continue this unacceptable course. The West simply cannot come to terms with the existence of the Russian Federation as an independent sovereign entity representing a civilizational alternative. That just sounds ridiculous. Russians and civilization? That's some kind of joke. And as the main sign that supposedly Nazism is being revived in Europe, Lavrov gave the example of German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, who recently stated that due to increasingly aggressive and because of this wild Russia, which savagely attacks its neighbors and simply cannot live civilly in peace with them, Germany must become the leading military power in Europe. And according to Lavrov, this statement by Merz means that Merz is a Nazi who dreams of reviving the Third Reich, which will inevitably go on to exterminate everything Russian. Therefore, there is only one conclusion. Ukraine's long-range strikes in the form of powerful attacks deep inside Russia should not only continue, but also intensify. Well, because these savage Russians simply don't understand any other language. I'll leave it at that. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments below this episode. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. If you want to support the work of this YouTube channel, I would appreciate it. You can do so with any donation using the links and details in the description of this video. There are a variety of options there. Choose whichever option suits you best, or scan the QR code on your screen. That's the easiest way to support this channel. That's all for now. Take care. Goodbye, everyone.